I had two student loans, and I paid one off as fast as I possibly could. The other one, I deliberately kept it, on purpose, for years. You see, everyone will tell you to pay off your debt. Every finance video, every family member, every person who's never actually sat down and done the math. I did the math, and the math told me to keep the loan alive. And that decision is probably the smartest money move I made in my entire 20s. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why, and you'll have the exact framework to decide what to do with yours. My first loan had my parents' names on it, their credit, their trust, their signatures next to mine. So I never saw that as a bank's money. I saw it as my parents' money that I borrowed. And the idea of owing my parents anything made me physically uncomfortable. Every time I sat across from them at dinner, I could feel it. This invisible weight on the conversation. They never mentioned it. They never had to. I knew it was there. So I paid it off first. Fast. Before anything else. Before investing. Before saving. Before being smart about it. Because the peace of mind of not owing my parents was worth more than any return I could have earned on that money. And that's the part nobody talks about. Some debt costs you more emotionally than financially. And when that's the case, the math doesn't matter. Kill it. Get your peace back. But once that emotional debt was gone, I looked at my second loan, and I made a completely different decision, one that felt wrong for months before I understood why it was right. This is the math that changed everything. The balance was manageable. The interest rate was low. I had the money to pay it off sitting right there in my account. I could have written one check and made it disappear, and I chose to keep it. So here's the question that changed my brain. Why would I take that money and use it to kill a loan charging me 3 or 4% when I could invest the exact same money and earn 20 or 30% back? Let me say that again. The loan costs me 4%. The investment earns me 25%. If I pay off the loan, I save 4%. If I invest instead, I gain 25%. The difference is 21% in my favor. Every single year. Now that only works if you have one critical rule in place. Without this rule, keeping debt alive is just reckless. With it, it becomes a strategy. After that, I made a rule for myself. One rule that changed my entire relationship with debt. I would never carry debt I couldn't pay off immediately. Let that land. The loan was still there. The balance was still on my statement. The monthly payments still left my account. But at any moment, any day, I could make one phone call and it would be gone. The only exception I allowed was business debt. Money I borrowed specifically to grow something that would earn more than it cost. That's leverage. Everything else had to be payable on demand. That single rule is what separates strategy from stupidity. Keeping a loan alive because the math works and you can end it whenever you want, that's a power position. Keeping a loan alive because you can't afford to pay it and you're hoping it works out, that's a trap. So if you're sitting there right now staring at a student loan and wondering what to do, here are the 4 questions that will give you your answer in about 3 minutes. What's the monthly bill? The actual number. Write it down and pause the video if you have to. Most people with student loans know they owe around 30-something thousand, but couldn't tell you what leaves their account every month. You can't make a smart decision about a number you've never actually looked at. Log in, find the number, write it down. That's step 1. Is the monthly bill sustainable? Can you pay it every month and still eat, still save something, still have a life? If the answer is yes, move to question 3. If the answer is no, look at consolidation or income-driven repayment. It lowers the bill, but it also extends the timeline, and that's the trade-off. When do you want it gone? 20 years, 10 years, 3 years, tomorrow, all valid timelines. The point is picking one deliberately instead of drifting through decades of minimum payments, hoping it eventually disappears on its own. It won't. Pick a date and commit to it. How much per month gets you there? Work the math backwards. If you want it gone in 5 years, divide the total by 60. That's your monthly number. If you can afford it, that's your plan. If you can't, go back to question 3 and stretch the timeline until the number fits. I actually wrote all 4 of these out with examples and the exact math behind each one. I'll link it below if you want to run through it on your own time. But before you start throwing extra money at your student loan, there's something you need to check first. Because most people attack their cheapest debt first and leave the most expensive one bleeding in the corner. Kill the expensive debt first. Here's what most people get backwards. Your student loan is probably the cheapest debt you carry. Credit card debt, personal loans, car payments. These carry brutal interest rates, 18%, 22%, sometimes higher. Your student loan is sitting at 4%. If you have an extra $200 a month and you throw it at your student loan, you save 4% on that money. If you throw it at your credit card instead, you save 22%. That's the difference between putting out a campfire and putting out a house fire. One can wait, the other cannot. So kill that expensive debt first, aggressively, with everything you have, then circle back to the student loan once the bleeding stops. Now, if you're still in school or thinking about going back, there's one more thing that will save you more money than any repayment strategy ever could. Get your school paid for. Stop paying full price for education. Scholarships go unclaimed every single year. Employer tuition programs exist that nobody applies to. Grants sit there unfilled because people assume they don't qualify without ever checking. When I went back to school, I made it my mission to pay as close to zero as possible. My income, my employer, every hidden program I could find, and the goal was simple. Come out with the credential and come out without adding new debt on top of old debt. And if you're already going back, get more than one degree. Most programs let you overlap coursework. Classes that count toward one degree can count toward another. You can walk out with 2 or 3 credentials for barely more than the cost of one if you plan it right. So don't just attend school, extract everything it has. So here's where we landed. I had 2 loans. The first one was emotional. My parents' names were on it. I killed it fast because peace of mind beats interest rates. The second one was mathematical. Low interest, manageable payment. The money worked harder invested than it would have paying off the loan, so I kept it alive. And the rule that made it all work: never carry debt you can't pay off immediately. Debt feels like a cage when you don't understand it. It feels like a tool when you do. The difference between those two is 4 questions and about 3 minutes of honesty with yourself. My 20s didn't come with a manual, so I made one. If that's useful to you, then stick around. See you in the next one.